very much an honoured guest here at Prescott Historique is Victor Riley, grandson of Mr. Riley, who started the whole Riley Cars business. Victor, how did he start that? Because it came from a completely different source, didn't it?
Yes, it did. He was a weaver. His father was a weaver. His grandfather was a weaver. But then the Coventry craftsman weavers were undercut by continental imports. And so he realised with 5 sons, he had to get out of weaving. And funnily enough, his neighbour was Henry Sturmey, who was the first editor of Autocar in 1895. And he said, William, get out of weaving, get into bicycles. There's the biggest boom coming.
Yes.
So grandfather went into bicycles, pulled my father out of school at the age of 14 and said, you've got to learn how to make a bicycle. We're changing our whole way of life.
Yes.
And so it developed from that.
That's really the history of Coventry, isn't it, of how Coventry got into motor cars.
Those are the exact words that Mark Dixon said when he led the successful application for Coventry to be City of Culture.
Yes.
He listened to me and he said, your story's the Coventry story. We must have you on board. And I think the family, because we've traced the family back to Elizabeth I, and we were woolen weavers, and it's a story of the family constantly adapting to the changing environment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then 30 or 40 years of building progressively better and better cars, epitomised by this amazing Brooklands Riley we're standing beside, which, tell me about its Le Mans history.
What happened when the Riley 9 engine came out in 1926, and people called it the greatest step forward in light car design the world had ever seen, Parry Thomas came to my father and said, that engine, I could develop it for racing. And my father said, well, we'll go ahead then. Right. Then Parry Thomas was killed on the Pendine Sand.
Yes.
But Reed Railton had been looking over his shoulder at their drawing board in Brooklands, where they had a little workshop. And he finished the drawings, made the prototype, went to Brooklands racetrack, and proceeded to win the first race, I think a tad under 100 miles an hour. My father was worried to death that the handicapper would be annoyed that he'd been made to look so foolish by a tiny car winning, but he didn't ever take it out on Riley's. So then production moved from Brooklands up to the Riley Works in Coventry at Poles Hill. And then in 1933, they entered this particular Riley Brooklands, and it won the category. And so that meant they were automatically included to the following year for the Rudge Whitworth Cup, which they came back and won the race. And also came 5th in the overall classification with 43 entries. They came 5th.
Incredible. And 34 was a fantastic result at Le Mans. 4 cars in the top 20.
6.
6 cars in the top.
Yes.
Wow.
2nd, 5th, 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th. 6 cars driven from Coventry to the track, all finished in those places, and then drove back to Coventry. So they won the team prize, the 1 litre class, the 1.5 litre class, and the team prize, and my mother was the highest placed lady driver ever in an Ulster Imp.
Incredible. And I mean, for a little 1 litre Riley to come second at Le Mans is just unbelievable, isn't it?
The one that came second was the MPH, and there's the actual car, and that had the 1.5 litre engine in.
Wow.
So we had 2 of those entered, and then 4 of the Riley 9 engine entered. Yeah. But,
I hope it resulted in a huge boost in sales.
Yes, it did. It did. And my father realised way back when he was Coventry cycling champion on O'Reilly bicycle, that the benefits of success increased sales.
Translated into money.
Into money, yes, yes, yes.
Then, rather sadly, Riley subsided into the Nuffield organisation.
Yes.
Was that a decision of your father?
It's a very, very difficult time, that. I think my father was a workaholic.
Yeah.
Then he gets married in 1934.
Right.
I came along in 35. And so his whole way of life changed. And I think, to use a cricketing analogy, he perhaps took the eye off the ball because of his new environment of marriage and children.
Yes.
There was also another very sad episode in Riley history. The company secretary was embezzling funds, and that wasn't discovered until too late, really. And so one night, Lord Nuffield, although he was only William Morris then, and my father were at a dinner, and they were both staying the night at the hotel, Stratford-upon-Avon, and they walked up the stairs together, and halfway up, Nuffield turned to my father and said, "Why don't you come in with me? You can have my financial umbrella, and I'll leave you free to do sales, marketing, production, design, but you've just got my umbrella, financial umbrella." And they shook hands on the stairs.
So that was quite a good arrangement, and then BMC came along and it all went pear-shaped.
Yes, because the post-war Riley took the world by storm, rather like the Nine had.
Yes.
I remember the school holidays, my father getting calls up to 10 o'clock at night, wanting to jump the queue for the post-war Riley.
One of them was my dad, because he had two of them.
Really?
Yes.
Gosh, God, that's it.
In about 1948, I think.
That's right. Yes.
Had a 1.5 and then a 2.5.
Gosh, yes, yes.
It must be a bit painful to see a Mini going around with a Riley radiator grille and calling itself an elf.
Yes, and we've got the student loan elf, because we've gone into the student loan car scheme to try and attract youngsters to owning or trying out old cars. Bob Wilkinson persuaded me to come in on that. And I've got mixed views, because now the Riley elf is the most sought after Riley.
A rare Mini.
Yeah, and although I admit to bias, I do think it's the best looking Mini, because the way they've moulded the Riley grill in,
Quite clever.
Quite clever. And so that's the most sought after Riley now.
And your archive of all the Riley documentation is booming.
It is. It really is. I'm so glad we took the decision in March 2018.
Yes.
When I went to see the Lord Mayor of Coventry. He hosted a lunch for us to launch the whole thing. And we've never looked back, except COVID was difficult. But we just managed to get through COVID.
Are you bursting at the seams now?
We are, really. We're going to have to find a larger premises. That's going to be the next stepping stone.
Yes. It's great to have the Riley name well protected in Coventry.
It really is, yes. And we're so close to our roots, 100 yards away. It's wonderful. And grandfather's house is still standing. Somehow
Really?
the Luftwaffe missed it. They got every other house around, but and we've got the couple who live in grandfather's house here with us today. They're now volunteers in the archive, so that's rather nice.
And have you got sons and grandsons who are taking on the mantle, if you like?
I got a son, yes. He's very busy at the moment in this, what's it called, artificial intelligence thing.
Right. Wow.
He's very much into that. So, but I'm hoping when he's a bit older, he'll come in and join me. Yes.
Well, Victor, lovely talking to you, and it's so good to see A, these lovely cars, and B, your archive. Thanks very much indeed.
Well, thank you too. Yes.